very similar to our 4D motion. It's very perfectly synchronized with what's happening on the screen. So the feelings that the consumer are experiencing on the seat itself is what they're visualizing on the screen.
This is the Box Office Podcast. I'm Rebecca Pahle, Deputy Editor of Box Office Pro, the pulse of theatrical exhibition, joined here today by my colleague and co-host Chad Kennerk, also of Box Office Pro. Later on in this episode, you will be hearing from Box Office Pro's Daniel Loria in conversation with our feature interviewee this week, a familiar voice on the podcast and in the industry in general, Rolando Rodriguez, formerly, as most of our listeners will know, formerly President and CEO of Marcus Theaters, previously the chairman of Cinema United back in its National Association of Theater Owner Days. Currently, he is on the podcast this week to speak to us about Lumma, a premium immersive seating format of which he is a partner and board member. Really exciting to hear more about that premium format. If you want to know more about it, you can check out our June issue. If you're going to be at CineEurope, it will be there as well. Definitely going to be an interesting conversation there about this exciting new premium format. Before we get to that, though, let's go over some box office, some news. It's on the third weekend for Lilo and Stitch, the third weekend at number one, coming in at 32.3 million, roughly a 48% drop from the prior weekend. Meanwhile, Ballerina, or to use the full title, From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, which that's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful.
It's not going to fit on marquees entirely. Our predicted range was right around 30 million. Didn't go too far underneath that. Ended up with actuals of 24.5 million over opening weekend in the domestic market. That is the lowest opening weekend for that franchise since the first John Wick. Obviously, that went on to be super successful, but when it first came out on opening weekend, it was not the behemoth action franchise that it is known today. Also, the first John Wick was the only other John Wick movie aside from Ballerina not to come out in Q1. It initially came out in the fall. 2, 3, and 4 came out in Q1 and really kind of proved as great anchor points for the box office in a period where there aren't that many films. Chad, did you end up getting out to see Ballerina?
Yeah, I did. I really enjoyed it. I felt like everyone at my screening had such a great time. I've not been a huge fan of this franchise. I've kept up with it, but I felt like this was the best one.
I think I have a few to catch up on, but yeah, hopefully holds will keep it strong at the box office. Fortunately for the cinema exhibition industry at large, we are going into a period where there are going to be many more films. Yay,
yes.
Box office. Chad, this next weekend coming up, we have the live action adaptation of How to Train Your Dragon. You got a chance to see that one as well, right?
Yeah, it's fairly reverent to the original animated film, but it translates really well. I think Disney has sometimes struggled with that in the past, but How to Train Your Dragon feels like it's tailor-made for live action. It was an exciting watch. It's filmed for IMAX, so it looks great in that format with all the sweeping vistas of the Isle of Berk. And I think the casting director as well deserves some props because the casting all feels very spot on to their animated counterparts.
Nice. And I know Gerard Butler is back.
Yes.
Viking dad with a Scottish accent.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's great to see him in there. And, I think the best thing that I can say about it is that it feels familiar without feeling redundant. So it has a good nostalgia aspect to it that I think a lot of audiences will connect with.
It's nice. We have it predicted at 75 to 90 million over the opening weekend. By the time you're listening to this episode, we will have an updated forecast that you can go to boxofficepro.com to check on that. They've already greenlit a second movie in the trilogy, the animation to live action. I really liked the animated trilogy. I wasn't quite sure I would because I think you and I both were like a little older than
the target audience.
It's surprisingly good. Chad, before we get to Daniel's conversation with Rolando Rodriguez, we do have some news items. First, let's get to there have been a couple of release date changes. Can you go over what we've seen in the last couple days on that front?
Yeah, Searchlight Pictures announced they will release Ready or Not, Here I Come. So that's the sequel to I think it was it 2019 that first one came out?
I remember it was kind of shortly before everything got crazy in the world, but
Right.
I really enjoyed that movie.
I did too, like way more than I thought I would. So I'm looking forward to the sequel that's coming out on April 10th, 2026. Warner Brothers also announced a new release date for Animal Friends. This is the Ryan Reynolds film
Like
on
live
May.
action,
Yes.
animation, hybrid.
That was previously scheduled for October of this year. That's moved to May 1st of 2026. And then Sony Pictures announcing a new release date for The Legend of Zelda on May 7th of 2027. So moving back a couple months, that was originally in March.
Yeah, so not a huge release date change there, opening up the summer movie season of 2026.
Yeah.
That to me feels right, just speaking to people. I mean, my brother called me up to talk about like casting controversies of Legend of Zelda. Like, this is going to be
Yeah. The expectations are going to be huge on this one, I think.
definitely excited to see that one, but we're going to have a little bit more of a wait, a couple of months more than previously. But luckily, we have a lot of awesome films coming out between now and then, one of which, of course, is the latest from the MCU, Fantastic Four First Steps, which we heard from Fandango that ticket sales on their part are going pretty well, right?
It's now Fandango's best first day ticket pre-seller of 2025. So that's surpassing all the other titles in their first day advance ticket sales of this year. And of course, it was number 2 on their anticipated movies of the summer movie-going trends and insight survey. Marvel is in a place where I think this film is going to determine how they approach the Avengers films.
Yeah, definitely a big film for Marvel this summer. Check out boxofficepro.com as we get the long range forecast going for that one. I know it's one that exhibitors and moviegoers alike are really excited about. Moving on to other news items, I think the big one this week, Warner Brothers Discovery is separating back into Warner Brothers and Discovery. Part of this change of Discovery being spun back off is that HBO Max, Warner's streaming platform, which used to be called HBO Max, then was called Max, is now going to be called HBO Max again. I never stopped calling it HBO Max.
Me either.
So I'm good on that front. Then finally, Chad, we have a couple new hires, one on the premium format front and one from a major multinational exhibitor.
Yeah, so Regal Cineworld Group appointed Vicky Neal as the new head of marketing in the US.
Our friends up above the border in Canada, D-Box Technologies, the immersive seating platform, has a new CEO in the form of Naveen Prasad. So definitely some moves happening on the executive side of things this week. And on that note, we are going to our feature segment now. Daniel Loria speaking with Rolando Rodriguez, co-owner of Lumma, which has a variety of different immersive seating technologies, including a new one, Magnify 8, which is a vibration system designed to elevate the movie-going experience. Definitely sounds interesting. I'm just looking forward to the Formula One to F1. Like, immersive seating is going to be a big deal on that one, I would imagine. That's how I plan to see it. We'll be right back with Daniel Loria in conversation with Rolando Rodriguez.
Brighter, deeper, sharper. Create unforgettable immersion in large format auditoriums. Deliver premium private viewing in boutique theaters. And leave audiences with an experience they'll want again and again. HeyLED's full lineup of DCI certified LED screens empowers cinemas to elevate both expansive and intimate spaces, enhancing contrast, color accuracy, and visual consistency. Turn your screens into a true competitive advantage. Discover HeyLED. Lumma is making another bold impact in the cinema industry with its latest innovation, Magnify 8, a one-of-a-kind experience that offers exhibitors another highly attractive and cost-effective solution. Besides their well-recognized and celebrated 4D emotion, Magnify 8 features multiple vibration points within the seat, seamlessly combined to feel the power of the movies moving through the body. Each vibration effect is meticulously programmed and perfectly synchronized with the action on screen. The system is highly versatile, compatible with any type of seat, regular or recliner, new or existing, enabling rapid scalable rollout across global markets. A perfect value add for premium large screens format seating, as well as all market sizes and types of theaters.
And we're back here in this special CineEurope edition with my colleague and friend in the industry, Rolando Rodriguez, now an entrepreneur here on the cinema space. You're very active with a number of different companies. The company we're talking about today is, I think, one of the most innovative premium formats on the market, Lumma 4D. Rolando, welcome back.
Well, listen, Daniel, it's always a pleasure to be with you, and I'm very excited about CineEurope and what's going to be happening. And I get the opportunity to tell you a little bit about this new venture that I'm involved with Lumma 4D Motion and Magnify 8. So we're very excited about it.
Well, let's start from the top here, Rolando. Could you give us a little bit of background on Lumma as a company and some of the products they develop for the cinema industry?
Sure. So, a little bit about Lumma, and very excited to have just joined them, late last year as a partner and board member for the organization. And it's because I believe in them and what they've been doing. You're looking at an organization that has been in the business for over 18 years. And how they started was really in the amusement business and museums. And then they've been in the theatrical business for over 9 years. So this is not a startup. This is an organization with an incredible reputation associated with the product lines that they represent. The headquarters is out of Argentina, and we actually have manufacturing plants in Argentina and Uruguay. And then we have a presence, actually a studio in California, where we deal quite a bit with all the studios to make sure that the products that we're representing and the synchronization that happens with it is absolutely perfect. So, look, we got a great organization with, by the way, that's been well recognized, more importantly, by the exhibitors that we serve as a best in class, we believe as a best in class product in the marketplace. And we are constantly innovating. We're very excited about this new product, Magnify 8, that we'll probably talk about a little bit more today. But our 4D Emotion, you're looking at a product, as an example, Daniel, that has not had any failure rate in 9 years.
9 years.
And
Man.
9 years. And, no spare parts. We have not charged a customer for a spare part in 9 years. Think about that, the quality of this product.
That's a great investment, I think, right now as exhibitors are considering which premium amenities to invest in. So let's talk about those two products, those two concepts, Lumma 4D eMotion and also Magnify 8. Let's go with a legacy product that's been around the market now for a while. Why should exhibitors consider Lumma 4D eMotion seating?
Well, first of all, I think, as I just noted earlier, you're looking at the reliability of the product and in particular, the technical aspects that are associated with it. We believe that not only do we have a failure protected product that we've been, and certainly well proven over 9 years, but you're looking at a great price value relationship that we offer. We try to be very competitive in the marketplace. We see this product and it's been there providing an incredible ROI for exhibitors in a time period where the consumer is looking for new and exciting products to introduce, where there is an appetite from a consumer's point of view to actually pay a little bit more for a differentiating experience, right? And the coin phrase that I was going to use with you today is we always talk about the things that exhibitors have been doing over the years. The changing of the stadium seating, the recliner seats introduction, the incredible large size screens, the Dolby sound system. But now this product makes you feel the difference. Think about that. Actually, you feel the difference in this one because you're not only experiencing what's on the screen, but you're actually experiencing it through the emotions and the aspects that touch your body associated with it.
And that's part of this immersive seating trend that we've seen across the industry. There's also a new product coming out that I've tested now a couple of years at CinemaCon at the Lumma booth. Every year I go in, it gets better. And right now, Magnify, I think, is one of the most exciting innovations for exhibitors looking to allocate CapEx. Could you tell us a little bit about that concept and what that price value relationship is between 4D eMotion and Magnify 8?
Sure. So let's start out with the 4D motion. Obviously, it touches, you get air, you get water, you get full movement aspect up and down, side to side. So you got a more intense experience that the consumer is having with that. And there's a lot of people that really enjoy it because it's like a ride as you watch, the film on the screen. So we wanted to develop another product that actually caters pretty much across the board to all consumers. And this one actually is done by 8 actuators, 5 that are in the back of the seat and 3 that are in the bottom of the seat. And what they do is you're feeling the motions through actually movement that's happening on the back and the bottom of the seat. But frankly, there is no intrusiveness of up and down, side to side. And this fits very well in a couple of different aspects, Daniel. One, it fits into the large screen formats. As people look into the large screen formats and elevating that next element of it, we're actually able to introduce this product in the center of the auditoriums. It could be an entire conversion of the entire auditorium, but it could be in the center of the auditorium. It's a lot lower cost of entry for this particular product. So it's a fast ROI return for the exhibitors that are associated with it. And by the way, it also fits in dine-in cinemas because, obviously the 4D motion is moving quite a bit, where this product actually fits in all different formats with a great ROI that's associated with it. And very similar to our 4D motion, it's very perfectly synchronized with what's happening on the screen. So the feelings that the consumer are experiencing on the seat itself is what they're visualizing on the screen. And then, the final item that I would say is that with this product, that's why it's a lower cost. It can actually be introduced into the existing recliner seats or regular seats. It doesn't need to change the seat or the structure of the auditorium. Or we can actually introduce it with a perfect cover. And in many cases, our exhibitor friends are choosing that because it's the look and feel of a brand new seat. We absolutely perfectly fit it to the seat. And then finally, we're actually working with just about all the major seat manufacturers. So if they're ordering new seats, actually this product can be installed in the manufacturing facility of these seat makers and delivered to their existing theaters.
It's the flexibility of Magnify 8 that I think makes it stand apart from every other premium format offering in the marketplace. And for those exhibitors that are looking at what their first investment to PLF could be, and we know that the major ones have already established a lot, millions of dollars in CapEx into this, but there's a lot of our colleagues that are still trying to figure out, how can this work for me? This is my first time going in. This is a great trial run to go in with a flexible, quick ROI solution in the marketplace, Magnify 8, which is really one of the most innovative products, I would call it, that I've seen over the last 5 years here in this industry, which is what I love the most out of it. And it's expanding. I've seen now press releases you've put out that we've run on our website of more theaters saying, hey, let's try this out. Let's see how this can work for us.
Well, and that's the exciting portion of this, Daniel, is that we're seeing where many of our exhibitor partners that are using the 4D motion are also recognizing that this is a differentiating product with a different price value relationship. So bottom line is you have a certain upcharge that you have on a 4D emotion because obviously it's a more costly product line. But with the Magnify 8, that upcharge can be cut in half or even a third. And so from a price value relationship to the consumer, it's not only a different experience, but it's a totally different entertainment environment. So we're seeing many of our exhibitors that are choosing to have 4D motion in one auditorium and Magnify 8 in others. And then the final item I would say is that we're very proud of the fact that there is no competitive product to this in the marketplace. This is the exciting part of our team members at Lumma and what they've created. They're constantly looking for new innovative products that are not in the marketplace right now and looking to how can we help exhibitors not only drive additional attendance, which by the way, that's what we're finding out when we're installing these, both in the 4D motion and with the Magnify 8, is the incremental attendance that's being driven to the theaters because the consumers are looking for this experience, but also the incremental revenue and bottom line profits that are very important to exhibitors as we continue to obviously J-curve out of this, challenging situation that we've had over the past couple of years.
And if I can be a little bit transparent to our listeners right now, Rolando, if you hear a little bit of noise in the background, his house is getting renovated. My place here in New York, I need to replace the doors. And these things, we like to do that in our houses, in the place we live, but it's always cumbersome having people come in, close out rooms, part of your house. What I love about Magnify 8, you don't need to do all that to your auditoriums. Your auditoriums aren't going to be sealed off for a number of times, kind of like your house is right now, Rolando, or my guest bedroom is currently. You can still keep them operational and put that premium format in there without sacrificing play weeks.
Yeah, and that's the key, because obviously as we install these systems, whether it's in the existing seats or we bring in the covers or the seats come in automatically from the manufacturer, when you think about it, we're not talking weeks. We're talking actually a couple of days, and we try to do it off theater times. So basically that auditorium remains functional for you. And that's one of the key components about, the Magnify 8, that structurally your auditorium is not changed. Obviously, it fits into the seat itself. And believe me, when we do the covers, which I cannot encourage people enough to actually look into it, many of our exhibitor partners, as they look at their auditoriums and they're trying to remodel their theaters right now, they're finding that obviously the seats are now into their 6th, 7th, or 8th year, especially in the recliner seats, and they need replacement. Well, actually, if you put this cover on, which, by the way, we fit it specifically to each seat. We actually have our technicians that come and measure, the seat itself to make sure it's a perfect fit. It's like you have an absolute brand new seat visually to the consumer. And on top of that, an ROI, delivery based on the upcharge that you're charging for that experience.
Now, Rolando, you've spent most of your career working in this industry at all levels, at the theater level, at the theater manager level, at the executive level, at the CEO and boardroom level. We've seen a transition in the way we market ourselves to the public, from marketing the movie to what we see today in marketing the movie at your theater. And this is the sort of initiative and the sort of innovation that sets you apart, that lets people know, hey, you can watch this anywhere, but this is the sort of technology, this is the sort of experience that only our theater can bring. Could you speak about that evolution in sort of marketing that we've seen as exhibitors reach out to consumers and tell them to embrace these new formats, these new experiences for moviegoing?
Thank you for that question, because obviously my passion, my heart and soul, and my background is the love for this industry, right? I've been in this industry for 45 years, and there's a big belief in the success and the future of this industry. And I've had the incredible pleasure and honor, as you well know, to serve as chairman of NATO, which is now, Cinema United, for many years. And I really got to know a lot of these incredible leaders in exhibition. And so what they do first and foremost, which I did as well, is making sure that we're aligning ourselves with what the consumer's needs and wants are, right? Let's start there. Secondly, with our partners. And our partners, when we look at the auditorium environment, deals with the filmmakers, right? With the film companies and the studios. And so we need to make sure that what we're doing to enhance the experience of this incredible art that they've created and put on the screen is a match for what the consumer is also looking for. And it has the ability to not only create incremental attendance, but obviously additional revenues and profitability for everyone involved. So when you look at a product like whether it's 4D motion, or you look at the large screen formats that, are obviously very powerful right now in the industry, more importantly, when you look at the studios right now, all of the films that are being made, for the most part, there's a sensory component that's associated with it, right? Whether it's an action film, whether it's a horror film, whether it's even an anime film, or whether it's a family film, they all have certain touches. Well, that really aligns with our product, right? In the fact that we want the consumer to feel that difference. Well, on top of that, the consumer has spoken very loudly in all of the places that we've introduced these products by saying, we love this type of product. We are willing to pay for that type of product. And it's showing in the incremental attendance and the revenue, additional revenue. So Look, our best references are our exhibitors and the customers that are actually visiting and experiencing our product.
You mentioned the importance of having that studio support behind everything we do here in exhibition. Could you tell me about that connection you have with film studios and both 4D Emotion and Magnify 8? Because as you mentioned earlier in the interview, you have offices in Hollywood where there are people synchronizing everything with studio oversight and approval to make sure this is the right sort of experience for moviegoers.
I'm glad you asked that because we love our studio partners and what they're doing with us. So they actually, just so you know, for every film, we make sure that our technicians are actually matching every movement that's happening on the screen perfectly with what's happening with our 4D motion or our Magnify 8. We really are one of the few that actually take it to that level of detail. It's driven by what you're seeing on the screen. So we do this for every film that basically synchronizes with our product. Why is that important? Because every one of the studios for every one of the films that play in 4D motion and in our Magnify 8 come to our studio and actually, Daniel, watch the entire film, and we appreciate their feedback or improvements that may need to be made, and we make them. And frankly, that's why we're very proud of the fact that all of our studio partners have recognized us as kind of a best in class in working with them associated with this. And it talks about even the award that they provided us at Show East, naming us as really as kind of a best in class product in this arena because we work with them. We make sure that the art form matches the movements that are happening on our seats, and they sign off on every film. In addition to that, which is very important, many exhibitors ask about this, is there enough product that plays in this? Well, all the major films, all the mid-sized films, and just about all the small films, right, are playing this in these formats. Over 70 films are being made to play in these type of formats. So there's always film every week, multiple films. And in fact, what we're finding out now, Daniel, is that in many of the exhibitor cases, they're actually doing multiple auditoriums with our product now, multiple 4D motion auditoriums and multiple Magnify 8 to make sure that they service all the film products that are playing in this format.
And you've seen now these products grow to more than 15 countries around the world adopting this sort of technology. What has been the reaction to the immersive seating concept, the way you guys approach it over at Lumma in these markets? And have you seen any differences in acceptance by the public in each of these markets?
Well, look, first of all, we're very proud of the fact that we're doing business in 15 different countries. So that ought to tell you that our reach in the different languages that we actually synchronize all of these components are very important to our customers, very important to us to make sure that it works. And that also tells you about the reliability of our product that could be playing in Spain, in France, in Argentina, in Ecuador, in the US, and there's no downtime. That's critical for obviously our exhibitors. From a consumer's point of view, this is why we also innovated on the Magnify 8. We felt, boy, this is a great, the 4D motion is what I would call the BMW, right, of the car systems. It's an incredible product that everyone should have. But in addition to that, we wanted to make sure that we were catering to older consumer bases, right, that we're catering to people that want to do it in a dine-in type of an environment. So the Magnify 8 basically goes across all genres and all consumer bases. So does the 4D motion. You'd be surprised at how many people actually enjoy we're actually in the football museum in Spain, which if you haven't gone there, we're the main attraction with our 4D motion. And you'd be surprised at how many older folks experience that football experience, which is incredible worldwide, to young people. And that auditorium, I can tell you, it fills up every time that you're there. So if nobody has experienced, if you're in Spain, please go see it because it's just really an amazing experience.
Now, we also have to talk about the domestic market. What is the role that the United States plays for Lumma's growth strategy?
Look, it's really been interesting for our company because when you think about it, in particular in the 4D emotion, the acceptance of that product happened a lot faster in Central and South America and in Europe for us. So it's almost like being introduced into the US as something as new and exciting that's happening. While there's certainly other competitors in this field, we think that our product kind of stands out on its own, along with our Magnify 8, that nobody else actually has that typical product. So we're very excited about the entry into the US, and in particular, the reception that we're getting from many exhibitors. And frankly, in the places that we've installed them so far, their success story is matching the success story that we're seeing in both Central, South America, and in Europe.
Now, you're going to be present at CineEurope, which is the big talking point right now here on this podcast. We have our magazine coming out at the event itself. Can you tell us a little bit about your presence at the event and where people can get in touch with you guys if they want to find out more about Lumma and its offerings?
Well, first of all, we are extremely excited working with UNIC and obviously the CineEurope team and Film Expo that's associated with this incredible convention. Look, I started to go to this convention about 9 years ago, and it is absolutely, bar none, one of my favorite conventions to attend. It is an incredible, passionate group of people in the filmmaking and watching the cultural dynamics that are associated with all the different countries. It's really enriching and exciting, and I always tell people that if you haven't been to CineEurope, you should go there. Our presence is going to be very large. We're actually going to be in the trade show. We're very excited about working with Boxoffice, as you know, about promoting not only CineEurope, but promoting our products. We're very engaged with the Film Expo and UNIC team. We're actually going to be doing a presentation during CineEurope. So we are going to be there. And if you want to come see us, we're going to have all of our products available in the trade show in booth 301. You can certainly reach us at any time. You can reach me personally if you want. It's Rolando at mrfamilyent.com at any moment, and I would be more than glad to engage and ideally set up a time to meet with all of you while we're at CineEurope.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Rolando. I look forward to seeing you a lot more often at these trade shows. We've got a heavy travel schedule ahead through the summer.
Yes, we do. Look, I think part of the exciting thing about this industry is going to see all the friends and people that you deal with on a regular basis. And look, I didn't get involved in this company because it was just to get involved. I believe in the product that we're offering. We have a great price-value relationship. By the way, we have a great financing model that's associated. You can either, as an exhibitor, do it through revenue share or purchase, and we can certainly make the appropriate type of deal that fits you to make sure that you can introduce this product. But look, we're going to be on the road quite a bit. We're going to be in all the trade shows. We're looking forward to Cine Latam, by the way, with Film Expo, and looking forward to, obviously, ideally, maybe even Cine Asia with the Film Expo group. So we're very excited about our product. We're very excited about CineEurope in particular. We look forward to seeing all of our good friends at CineEurope and really just showing them an incredible product that we have offering. And of course, Daniel, we thank Boxoffice for your constant support of actually companies like us that are trying to introduce a great product to exhibitors with a great price-value relationship, and more importantly, delivering their ROI, which is desperately needed as we're coming back as an industry.
Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Box Office Podcast. We release new episodes of the podcast every Thursday. You can check our website as well, boxofficepro.com, for the latest in box office forecasting and predictions. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you again next week.